Welcome to The Wedding Wear with Officiating by Amanda. This episode is part 2 of my interview with Jess, my very first bride. The first episode's out. I highly recommend that you listen to it to get caught up a little bit. It just was like a 3-hour long interview that had to be significantly edited. I will add the disclaimer as we get back into this that we were several mimosas in the interview, and yep, content warning, all of that jazz. So enjoy. Take yourself back in time.
Oh, good. Here we go.
Almost 9 years. So, and I love that, you know, even though there's been some time and distance since your wedding, like that gives you some more clarity onto like what really mattered and what that day really was. And as you know, there's been people gained and people lost and all those sorts of things in between. I think that gives you such a good perspective to now be able to like look at these questions versus if we had talked 6 months after your wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So looking back on the whole, what stands out as your favorite part of your wedding day?
Oh,
Again, from the second you woke up to the second we tucked you into bed at night, and we did tuck you into bed that night. I helped.
And then I untucked myself. So
we also uncorseted you, but
yeah, and I spilled a McFlurry all down my dress, and my matron of honor was pissed.
And you asked for French fries off the floor, and I said no, and you were not happy with that because you wanted the French fries.
It was the 5-second rule, and you let it go to 15 seconds, and I was so mad.
I was tired and drunk and could not bend down. I'm a lady.
Like I told you, you were involved in the whole wedding. It was not just she's just the no. You were a part of the wedding party.
Involved.
So I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember a lot of my wedding. I was double fisting gin and tonics the whole night. So like
and it goes by in such a flash too.
It does. It really does. I know that I ate because I was like, I need to eat because that's the one thing that people told me you don't ever eat. And I'm like, I paid for this food. I like this food. I want it.
And I don't know if you know it, but we worked with the hair and makeup team to pace you in the morning just so that you wouldn't be.
Is that why they kept putting hairspray in my mimosa?
It wasn't intentional, but like they took the like we kind of said, hey, we said it as a we all because we all wanted to be leveled.
Meanwhile, I get down to the altar and I can smell the vodka coming off Joe. So his friends, his groomsmen didn't do that.
Obviously, we didn't talk to his hair and makeup team.
Yeah,
but
Dave.
But no, so we would mix you a mimosa and you get 2 or 3 sips in and you put it to the side and then you'd go talking. And if it was more than like 5 minutes, then yes, the hairsprayer had to keep hairspraying. She had to do her job. And it just so happened to land in your drink. And about 5 minutes later, you go, oh, there's hairspray in my drink. We're like, we'll make you another one. We wait around another 5 minutes. We make you a drink. You get 2, 3 sips in. For the time that your hair was getting done, whatever that was, probably about an hour.
Betrayal.
Betrayal. We kept you level for that hour, and I make no apologies for it.
I feel betrayed.
I'm so sorry. So
while we were taking pictures, though, someone handed me a flask of whiskey. So
that was not me.
No, it was not. No. We don't talk to that person anymore.
No, we don't. If it's that person, no, we don't.
Yes.
Favorite part of your wedding day that you remember?
Honestly, any moment that Joey and I got to be alone. We had fire trucks at my wedding. That's what I rode in on. Some people ride in on a horse and carriage or, a limo. No, I rode in on a fire truck from my fire company. And
I rode an elevator.
That we took, it was him and myself and the photographer, and we took the fire truck to the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the best moment because it was like the only time that we were semi-alone throughout the whole day.
How did the rest of us get to pictures?
You guys had a party bus. That's why you don't remember. Because
the ceremony was done.
They said no drinks in the party bus. Y'all brought, I saw the pictures. There was bottles of Fireball.
Again,
that were empty by the time you got to picture.
As you know of my dress and my attire, and I might link a photo or two, if we've got some to share up on the link tree.
You looked fantastic.
There was nowhere I could hide anything. So I didn't bring any illicit substances.
No.
But right, if there was a party bus,
yeah,
I could now see the same person that offered you a flask probably offered me that flask as well. And by the time of pictures, I probably did celebrate that. I did a good job.
There,
well done.
I have a picture from the reception of one of our groomsmen. He's a doctor now. He's got, somehow they wouldn't let anybody take like actual bottles of alcohol from behind the bar. He somehow convinced them to get 2 bottles of alcohol from behind the bar, and he held them up above him like he had just won an Olympic medal. And I've got a picture of him screaming like, ah, with these bottles of alcohol, and I can't post it on social media because he's a doctor.
What was a smaller personal touch that you had in the day that meant the most to you? Was there something you were wearing or something you had with you or something that was said that really just, looking back, like that's...
So I was going to say I made wine cork board where I had people write down like on little pieces of paper, like just well wishes and put them on. But you said personal touch or like the something sentimental, and my matron of honor, Faith, gave me, it was like a brooch that she stuck in my flower bouquet, and it was her grandmother's.
Oh.
And she said that this lasted them in a lifetime of marriage and happiness, and I want to give that to you. So that was really, really sweet. So I'd have to say that, honestly. She's such a sweetheart, isn't she?
She is. And that's such a great thing of family touches and family heirlooms. I think a lot of people don't think or connect with. My grandmother had passed when I was 10.
Yeah.
And my only other female cousin, Brittany, when she got married, again, when you're kids and you're kind of splitting up all the family artifacts and relics, I took a lot of like the costume jewelry and the hat pins and the brooches because I was the weird kid that wanted them. And so when Brittany got married, our grandmother she loved chickens, anything chickens, all things chickens. Fantastic. And so, of course, she's got a chicken hat pin and a chicken pin and a chicken brooch. But I kind of had them all. And Brittany had reached out and said, oh, I'd love a part. Do you have anything jewelry wise? And I'm like, I got chickens. Let's go, friend.
Bitch, you want a chicken?
and being able to take those couple minutes with her at the start and hand her this chicken pin, and she was like, I'll give it back. I go, no.
You keep it.
This is, I've got more than enough. And I even she had an acorn hat pin. And so actually I laugh because in college I was single as fuck. And
no.
And when you go out on dates with weird strangers, you're supposed to come up with a safe word. And so for all 4 years of college, my safe word was acorn because I could be like, I lived on a campus that had a ton of squirrels. So it would be nothing if I texted my friends like 2 a.m. I saw a squirrel with an acorn, but just using the word acorn instead of nut, or I saw a squirrel, period, that meant something's wrong. So acorn was my safety word. And then as I looked back on all the jewelry, I realized I had a hat pin of my grandmother's that was an acorn. So I'm like, like that's her keeping me safe. Like that's
sweet.
So definitely those family heirlooms and touches, they really do mean a lot the day of really bringing someone forward.
Yeah. And it's so the history of my family. Like we're not close, we're not good. They didn't come to my wedding. So the fact that
except your dad. That best man came. That best man.
Man, he was fantastic. Did I tell you Joey found a dime in my shoe the other day? And I went, come on, Keith. Why?
And I have it covered in the previous episode of, again, kind of I didn't know what to do in this first wedding. No matter how much we practiced with your dad of what he was supposed to say when he walked you down the aisle.
Something different every
time. And so when he finally got down there and in this booming voice says, I, her father, do, I have to be ready to roll with that. And
this is why I wanted to drink mimosas before the wedding.
You did. You just drank.
I had 3 sips.
At a time. 3 sips at a time.
Yeah. Betrayal. Betrayal.
I'm so sorry.
Well, you're not.
Obviously, for this next question, you're not going to want to relive getting your hair and makeup done because that was betrayal.
No, and I hated my hair, the way that it turned out, and what they did. No, and what they did with my makeup, I hated it.
You asked for some
I asked retouch for my lipstick because I wanted a darker lip.
You look great in darker lip.
But they gave me like this bright red, and I'm like, I don't want that. I wound up getting Jess, my other bridesmaid, who's also named Jess, and is married to Joey's cousin.
Family.
Yeah, she had one. And I was like, I like that one. Can I wear that one, please? And she's like, yes. And that one was lip stain. It stayed on all day. It was a nice color. I liked that one. But they made my like eyeshadow blue when it was brown in like the original thing. And I'm like, I asked you to make it a little bit more silver, not blue. And then they did this weird knot in my hair when I asked them to just like put it like up a little and curl it. And like I've never gone back to that salon since because of how they did me dirty on my wedding day.
Not obviously hair and makeup, but if you could relive 5 minutes.
Oh, that one's easy. Dancing with my dad.
Yeah.
Dancing with my dad. My dad passed away. It'll be 2 years this Tuesday. But yeah, if I could relive that, just dancing with him to that song, because I don't even know what we were talking about. I know he was gossiping.
Oh,
he was just.
And you both, you had good moments of laughter. And I've seen pictures where you shoot him that look like, okay, Dad.
They can hear you. You need to stop. But no, my dad was a larger than life personality. I've never met anybody like him besides my husband. Which, you know what? It's not a bad thing.
No.
But my husband's much more tame. Yeah. My dad was he was off. He could get away with anything. I don't know how he did it. He did. He got away with so much shit. But he was such like this larger than life. I know everybody says that about like their dads and stuff, but he really, I've never met a personality like him.
He was, even when he lost all the weight, he was still a larger than life man. And had been a bigger woman at times, like you feel a certain way when you're large, but when you can still encapsulate that personality when you're smaller, like you go for it.
So I stayed home from school one day from high school when I was sick. I was legitimately sick. I had a fever. I was throwing up. He came in. He had called off work and he's like, I'm going to a museum. And I was like, I'm sick. And he's like, well, I guess if you don't want to go. I'm like, I'll go. But like, all right, whatever. He took us to New York. New York City. We went to the Museum of Natural History. And then we walked around. It's winter. It's winter. It's snowing. He found a group of tourists and introduced himself as Rigatoni Bologna. And he walked them around New York City like he knew the place. He had no idea where he was.
That's what Keith would do.
No idea where he was. He got the name off of a sign from a menu outside of an Italian restaurant in New York. He thought it was the funniest thing. This is what we did for a half hour. Yeah. This was before noon. They followed him. They believed him. I was like, why are you people this stupid? Like, he's obviously just fucking with you. Like, what? That was a thing for the rest of his life was, I'm rigatoni bologna. I'm like, you're not even Italian.
No, he's not. He's not. What I often think, though, was, after I met my husband and, getting to introduce him to members of my family and everything, I did often think on your dad and how my dad was not used to talking to gentlemen suitors and saying, you better treat my daughter right. Like, and I was like 29, 30 when I brought Nick home. So my dad was kind of like, there's a man here?
Hello.
Job,
It's very nice to meet you. You want to be my friend?
Exactly. I think he literally said, can I show you my coin collection?
But can I show you my coin collection? I got stamps.
But I think about if Nick had gotten to meet your dad and your dad would have had more of the traditional, put the fear of God into this man that again, as daughters, we kind of expect our dads to do. Your dad would have joked with Nick, harassed Nick, scared Nick, and then been Nick's boyfriend.
No. My dad, Amanda, I'm not kidding you. He's literally met my past boyfriends with a shotgun.
Oh, I know. I remember
cleaning the shotgun, and then he handed them a little urine bottle and told them to go pee in it. He got it from the hospital. I told him, why would you do this? He's not peeing in this. Also, he would have failed.
Which ex?
No.
All of them.
No. A good portion. Not Joe. What a good portion.
Getting kind of back into those, the minutes of your wedding day, I know you well enough, and I know the relationship you have with your dad to know that even 3-4 years ago when he was still alive, I think your favorite 5 minutes still would have been the time spent with him.
Oh yeah.
It was the fact that he was your rock family. Yeah. He was there from start to finish. He went out and bought you a robe the morning of. You're like, I don't have a robe.
Remember that.
He ran to Kohl's. He got you a gorgeous. It was gorgeous. It was like what, jersey knit. It was
when my ambulance crashed, he brought me clothes to the hospital from Walmart. I was like, all right, they're the most comfortable pair of sweats that ever had in my whole life.
Now, why didn't he bring them down to Virginia after you had West Virginia after you had a kid? That's when you need the comfy sweats.
Well, because I didn't need them at that time. But after, like, when I had a broken leg, 2 broken hands, a concussion, my kidneys were like, hey, let's go on dialysis.
Yeah.
He brought me very comfy clothes, and I appreciate that.
That tactful bride moment where I think it was like the week of the wedding where you text me, you're like, hey, so I know you've got some fandoms and things going on your wedding.
Can Joey wear his kilt?
Joey in a kilt. And I'm there like, my head's like, fuck no.
Yep.
And my bride voice is like, if that is what Joey would feel most comfortable in, fine. But he would be the only one in costume. And I think it would look weird. And you're like,
I took that for what it was worth. I'm like, she said hell to the no.
Yeah.
So
you know me well enough to know that was tactful me going,
it would it's a legit
not.
kilt. It's
Right,
a legitimate kilt. It would have been an actual like attire because he is Irish.
He looks good in it.
Yeah, he
but
does.
It was a cold November day.
It wouldn't have been like the shirt. Oh, the cold doesn't bother him anyway. He's Elsa.
For your wedding, was there a moment of the day that surprised you, good or bad? Because I know there are moments that surprised me, both good and bad at your wedding.
Yeah, those are probably the same moment.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm.
There was something that was happening at your table specifically, or like the one groomsmen's table. Also, everybody changed tables, and I hated that.
I believe I was the only one who had an approved table change because it was needed because of inappropriate behavior.
I didn't even know about that. Like, I didn't know what was happening. I just knew there was an issue, and I saw it, and I started to go over, and I think it was Faith. She was like, "You don't need to worry about that."
No.
She's an amazing maid of honor.
She took care
of honor. Amazing person. I love her so much. She took the stress off of me so much.
A lot.
But I was like, "What's happening?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it. It's nothing. It's just groomsmen being groomsmen." And I'm like, "All right, whatevs."
More like assholes being assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would change that. We would change the assholes not being assholes if we could.
Yeah. And I'd also change because so the hotel we had our reception at was a beautiful place. Beautiful hotel. But I was working with a different hotel coordinator before my wedding, and then all of a sudden she quit. Not our bride, like she quit the whole hotel.
That happened a lot.
We got put with someone who didn't know us. She showed up the day of my wedding smelling like vodka. Like straight up vodka. Didn't know if she was still drunk or she was hungover, but she fucked so much up. And I it made me so mad. She put extra tables out so it looked like it was extra sparse. And it really upset me. Because I was like, it looks like no one showed up to my wedding. Which isn't true.
Yeah. So we had when we toured our venue for the wedding, the coordinator that was there just was really like, the venue was fine. You know, we liked that it was all wine. It was all there.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
She had a lot of we'd ask her questions and she'd be like, let me check on that. Like, not a lot of answers for somebody in the business, which I'm like, no, thank you. I left her my information. I said, we'd like these dates. And she never followed up. And I called about 2 months later when I was, almost engaged. Because I looked before I got engaged. But
yeah, I know.
I called when I was almost engaged. And I was like, hey, like, I want to, left a message. I'm like, I'd love to meet with you again. I'd love to get on your radar. Like, this is looking more and more confirmed. If not, we're going to have to go to the hotel that's across the street. And I know you don't want to lose your business to them. We did that venue coordinator across the street, but the venue was gorgeous. And so I'm like, all right, like if I have to, I will. And I get a call back from a man named Daniel. And I'm like, you're not Monica. He goes, nope, Monica's no longer with the company. He goes, I am here now. I listened to your voicemail. I understand that you've had a tour of the venue. I would love to meet with you. I know you've already done the tour. I know you've already done it, but like if there's any other time that you might have available that you and your fiance could come on up and meet with me. And he was the reason we booked there. And we've told him 1,000 times he's the reason we booked there.
Oh, wow.
And that I can't imagine though, like if that, he'd held all of our cards. Like he was a yes man for realistic expectations. Because I'm in the wedding industry. I'm like, I want this, not that. He goes, done. No, I have to see. He was very decisive and I love that. And so I can only imagine again, if he had left me, 2 months, 3 months before the process and it's somebody new who's like, oh, I'm going to do this instead. It's like, the heck you are. The heck you are.
No.
So we talked about kind of what was something that surprised you?
Mhm.
And then we kind of really talked about changing things on wedding day. Would you say you changed kind of like asshole groomsmen? You changed like if there's one moment or one thing.
One thing that I would change, I think I'd get a wedding coordinator.
Ooh, like a
Honestly.
separate day of like
Because I did our whole wedding by myself.
You did.
And I did it. It was beautiful, and it was only like 15,000.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No.
Not bad. But yeah, no, I think I'd get a wedding coordinator. I'd actually splurge for it because it wasn't even the stress. It was just there are things now that I know that I didn't know that the coordinator could have helped with and could have advised me on.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I would have done.
And Faith did a lot in like
Faith did a lot.
planning and the lead up help and everything. But I also for day of, she was wearing a lot of hats where she's the wife of a best man, where she herself is matron of honor. She was mother to one of the children, the bridal party, and she'd planned things. She'd made your cakes and everything. So I'm like, she was wearing a lot of hats. And I also agree. I would have loved to see
She did an amazing
somebody, you know, even if it was just a day of person come in to like take the reins and say, thank you for all the lead up. I'll carry it across the finish line. You guys enjoy.
Yeah.
Because even again, when she's, you know, McFlurry on your dress, I'm like, Faith's still not taking her hat off.
I feel like that was her last straw. That was her 13th reason.
But that was like what, 2, 3 in the morning? It's allowed to be our last straw.
She's still mad that she went through the McDonald's drive-thru.
She walked through the McDonald's drive-thru.
They're like, I know. She's like, I know I don't have a car. I need you to get this for me. There's an angry bride. No, but the original wedding coordinator was fantastic. Everything we asked for, she said yes to. And I don't think I asked for that much. I think I asked for security at the venue. I did ask for security. I was like, there's going to be a bunch of firefighters, police officers, and EMS present. They're going to get rowdy. You're going to need security. And I'm sorry.
And especially with some of the interfamily like issues that you've had, or sometimes Joey's side has had as well.
Oh no, my mom was not allowed there, and we needed to make sure the venue knew that. So she's a horrible person, if you're wondering. That's the TLDR. So
future listeners, yeah. You do not have to say me. I'm giving that caveat. Please know, everyone listening, I do not pay people to ever say me. So, what was your favorite vendor or service? And again, if you say me, I will probably ask you for then somebody else. And why would you recommend them?
Obviously, I'd recommend you.
Of course. But in addition to me,
give me my $50 now. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're fantastic. I would highly recommend you to everyone. You're a sweetheart, and you do a great job. If I had to pick someone besides you, I'd probably pick my DJ. And he was fantastic. I'm still friends with him on Facebook. That's how.
I'm friends with a few of the vendors from your wedding on Facebook.
So his DJ name is By Request. That's his company.
Okay, so he's By Request is the company. So.
His name is Caustic, John Caustic. He's fantastic. He's a sweetheart. He
goes by DJ Slacker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he sat down with us. We went to like a bar. And he sat down with us. We had a couple of drinks. He's like, okay, what do you want played? What do you not want played? Give me a variation. And he made sure that no one got to request anything that we didn't want him to. We didn't like all that stuff. It was great. I loved the music. Joey was really against like the Macarena and the electric slide.
We had a rule one blind dance, one.
Good with it. So he allowed the Cupid Shuffle. But didn't want anything else, which didn't matter because the only song I remember from the night is my dad grinding up against 3 lesbians and a couple of bridesmaids to a Taylor Swift song. That's all I remember. They were all firefighters except the bridesmaids. So it was just a great day. It was a great day. It was a great time. I had a blast. But yeah, no, I definitely recommend him. And he on top of it, he videoed, like, I actually just found this. He videoed my father-daughter dance. Oh. And I found it on my laptop.
That's recently. A joy. That's a joy.
I didn't remember that he did that. He photographed a lot of things that our photographer, who's also awesome. Also, I recommend her.
One person,
yeah.
And you miss things.
Yeah. But she was like 8 months pregnant. So, I highly recommend Lauren Candler as well. She's fantastic. He took photos of like different things from the reception because she was 8 months pregnant. I was like, I don't want you sitting here for 3 hours taking videos and photography and stuff like that. You go home, get some food, go home.
Yeah. You also said, like, please sit for food. And so while the rest of us were kind of wrapping up some things, I know, rightly so, she was eating. But in those moments, you're going to miss a few things. So I'm glad that he was able to capture that.
He took pictures outside the venue with a couple of bridesmaids. He took the videos of me and my, which I didn't know that. We didn't hire a videographer because I didn't want one, because I was like, I'm going to say something stupid.
So in the span and in the timing of your wedding, what was the most emotional moment for you? Was it that first look with, like, Joe down the aisle? Was it your dad walking you down? Was it finally being Mr. and Mrs.? What was your emotional moment?
It was probably in that fire truck, because it was like, this is real.
We did.
We're really,
we did.
We're married. It's great. We're having a blast. It was great. Now looking back at it, obviously it's the father-daughter dance, him bringing me a robe and just
being the ham that he was.
He cried when he saw me, and I was like, oh, Todd. But like, now seeing it and seeing the photos with it, which Lauren Candler again took amazing photos of that, it'd be that. But in the moment, it was Joey and I being married, and it still is that. It still is that. But everything that happened after with my dad, it's all of it now. It's all of it.
How did you manage to stay present and soak up the day? Or if you say that you didn't, what was the cause of it?
The cause of it was gin and tonics. That's the cause of it. And so I think everything was just me grounding myself, going, okay, I'm here. This is happening. Like the ceremony part was different. I don't really remember that, and I think that was just because I was so excited.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of nerves.
A lot of couples.
I vaguely remember posing in the bridal suite at the church, vaguely. And then all of a sudden it's, come on, let's go. You got to rush down. I did not stop, because you're supposed to stop halfway down the aisle.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can get pictures. I didn't stop. I kept trucking through.
And this was back in the day before I knew to move out of the way again. I'm still standing front and center. So even if you had stopped, I'd be photobombing. And I have found that the worst person to be in the middle of pictures. This is why I'm out of the way for vows, rings, kiss, all of that, because even if I don't have a resting bitch face, I have resting all other sorts of faces. Like, a groom can be reading his vows, and if I'm there in the middle, I'm like, oh, but I look horrendous. Or if a bride is saying something, but I'm trying to keep composure, I'm still like,
it's like you're giving them the don't be suspicious. Right. Don't be suspicious.
So I nowadays take myself out of the middle for a lot of those key shots. But at your wedding, I certainly would not have. So I would have been trying to coordinate with my flight attendant move, the bridesmen and the groomsmen, bridesmaids and groomsmen coming together.
Third mimosa.
Coming together, meeting in the middle and going out. So I'm like, come together, fly the nest. Could you imagine if you and Joe stopped in the middle for like a cute picture and you see me in the background like,
oh, I'm talking about coming down the aisle towards Joe. I was supposed to stop. I didn't. I just like ran over the pregnant photographer and like me and my dad's like, you're supposed to stop. He's like pulling me back. I'm like, we're going nuts. Nope. Whoop, whoop.
If you could give one piece of advice to a newlywed couple and say that they're the same age that you were back then, not, oh, hey, you're in your 30 something and you get married. This is what I know as an adult. But like, if you give one advice to that young, 21, 22, 23-year-old couple starting out, what would it be?
Fuck the people who say don't go to bed angry. And I don't mean that like literally or like meanly. It's, you're allowed to feel your feelings. Feel your feelings. Feel them to the extent. The next morning when you wake up and you've sorted shit out, talk about it. Communicate. Everything is about communication. If you can communicate with the person that you love, you're good. If you can't communicate, if someone's hiding something, if something isn't, they just don't know how to talk to you about it, that's not kosher. If they don't know how to communicate, that's okay too.
You got to work on it.
You got to work on it. Go to therapy, do what you need to do, but
find the different languages.
Exactly.
Because there's a ton of that.
Exactly. But you need to communicate in one way or another. Without that, everything falls apart. Everything falls apart. Also, I am an idiot on the internet, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. into what feels natural to you, because I'm nobody. But that's I attribute everything that Joe and I have built to communication. When one of us is uncomfortable, we go up together and we're like, I don't like how you did this. I don't like how this played out. I need to talk to you about how I'm feeling with this. And that's worked for us.
Right. It's not see something, say something, because if you're waiting for the other person to pick up on the cues, it's never going to happen. But if it's feel something, say something.
Yeah. And it's different for every couple. Like, it's different for everybody's relationship is different. Things that bother me might not bother you, and that's fine, but you have to know your person. And if you're lucky in the long run, they're not just your person, they're your best friend.
And you grow with them.
Yes, exactly. You don't grow apart, you grow with them. But to do that, you need to communicate. You need to talk to each other.
We're gonna cheers. Cheers on the last question here. So, for all the years and all the time, and as much as you're willing to share, what are you up to now?
My husband and I are still in EMS.
And still married.
Obviously.
Not true.
I called him my husband.
Not true of every couple I've married, actually. I think I've 6 divorces out of 172 weddings.
I mean, that's not a bad percentage.
No, it's not. It's better than the national average.
Hey! Yeah, no, we're still married. Happily married. We've got 3 kids, 3 beautiful kids.
Adorable kids.
Ranging in, she's going to be 7.
No.
7, 4, and 1.
And you did a stint where you lived out of state, and you had to get through that together, being away from
West Virginia.
family, getting through school.
That was probably the hardest time we've had together in our relationship. And it wasn't even on us. It was just outside factors. And we got through that. And I attribute that to how strong we are now. Because if you can do that, you've got it in the bag. But yeah, we're both still in EMS.
Fun.
It's so fun.
You guys have had gains and losses together. You've had wins. Outside of Ireland, any other big trips that you guys have done?
We've gone to California.
Oh.
Well, technically it was Nevada, but we went to LAX to go to Nevada for a wedding, for our friend's wedding. But it was beautiful. They got married at Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
So pretty. So pretty. She looked gorgeous. He was refined. Joey was one of the groomsmen. It was great. They had their reception at a brewery. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful place. And that was during the first, like, really bad, recently, like, California fires. So as we're flying back out, we had an 8-month-old with us.
Right.
As we were flying back out to the East Coast, we could see the entire mountain on fire, which was insane. And the air quality was like smoky while we were there and everything like that. So that was neat, but everything else was beautiful. So yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, anything more you want to say? Anything you want to add? Covered a lot. We
I'm pretty fucking tipsy. I'm not gonna lie. We've had like 4 mimosas.
Maybe we call this like the drunken bride talks or something like that. I
feel like you need to do this with every bride as long as they drink
if
and
they're
are
willing.
not pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
If they're willing. I've got some who are like, do not mention my name. Do not ever talk about me again. I'm like, okay, cool.
Were those the ones that got divorced?
No, actually, no, surprisingly, but they're just more private people. And so I get it.
Private person, but you're not going to no, I just want to thank you for being my friend for all these years and putting up with all my bullshit.
Thank you for listening to The Wedding Wear with Officiating by Amanda. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some inspiration or insight for your own special day. This podcast is hosted on Buzzsprout and can be found on all major platforms. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment, and share to help us reach even more listeners who might laugh a little at The Wedding Wear. For the links referenced in the show, visit Linktree at Officiating by Amanda. You can also follow the business on Facebook, Wedding Wire, and The Knot to stay up to date on everything going on. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the podcast, just send an email to theweddingwearpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're ready to inquire about officiating services for your own big day, you can reach me at officiatingbyamanda@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, This has been Amanda.